And somebody came along and said, that might make a pretty good sign. It's a closed cell construction, so there's no warping, moisture can't get in, bugs don't eat it, so it makes for a great, a great outdoor material. That's what these letters are made from.
The sun doesn't penetrate it, it doesn't deteriorate it, the weather doesn't?
Nope, it's a closed cell, so no water gets in. It can be painted, it can be leafed.
Is it strong?
It's pretty strong.
I mean, could you break the art very easily? If you drop it, would it tend to?
Well, if you drop it, I mean, it's it's pretty hard stuff. I mean, I would imagine if you really whacked it hard, you could dig it. You can kind of dig your fingernail in there and see the density of it, and you can get some much harder stuff. Like, for example, this piece. Now that's actually that's an MDF there, but this piece is like a 30-pound right there, and it's a little bit harder than that.
And the paint only strengthens it more, doesn't it?
I don't know if it really strengthens it.
It doesn't penetrate though. So
it doesn't penetrate. It sits on top. Yeah. So so it wouldn't be like something you would use a translucent stain or something. It would have to be a paint.
Can you use a router on it? A router letters?
Yeah. This is a router here, and this is and then the gold leaf, and then painted on the sides here. These letters I took down from Lanier Harbor Marina. They were up for about 8 years, so you can see how well the gold holds up. I've got some signs that have been outdoors for 20 years and they still look good. So gold is a very, very durable product. I mean, it'll outlast paint or anything else. Speaking of paint, now obviously there's an expression, gold is gold and paint ain't. So there's some. This is a really good product, though. I'd like to show you. It's called Ronan Aqua Leaf, and it comes in coppers and it's about 3 shades of gold. It's a very good product, water-based, and I use it for letters. It makes a really nice shine on it. And it really lasts outdoors. I've got some finials that I used on some signs over in Lilburn. They've been up for 6 or 7 years and they still look great. So there's certain applications where this is just not practical, or it's just not in the budget. Gold's not a cheap process, and it's a lot of labor to it, so you have to charge accordingly. So that's a nice alternative, but like gold is gold and paint ain't. So you can see the difference in the sheen there.
The stuff you get at the hobby stores is obviously not gold. What is it?
Exactly. That's called a composition leaf, and it's nice for what it is. It's okay, but if you guys are doing pieces like this, you don't want to put composition leaf on there. If you've got 6 hours in a piece of corn, you sure don't want to put something from, Hobby Lobby, and so you really, that's, so what you really want to do is go with the gold. A lot of people are scared of gold because they feel like, oh, it costs too much, or what if I blow it, or whatever, but it's unbelievably thin. It's very light.
What does a book cost today?
A book cost, if you buy in bulk, about $25. So you've got 20 sheets in there. It's 20 sheets, I believe. So just a little over $1 a sheet. So it's not that bad.
How do they get that gold so thin?
This a process called gold beading, and for 1,000 years they used to have a guy with an arm like Popeye, and he'd sit there and you put a gold nugget between the sheets of leather, and they just sit there with a big hammer and beat it, and then as it spread out and got softer, then they'd take it and they'd cut it, put it between more layers and beat it again. So now the process has been computerized, and of course they've got machines that do it, and it's but it's still basically the same process. They sit there and hammer it until it gets super, super thin. And you can see, I can take that piece right there and it really just becomes nothing. I mean, it's so thin. I don't know the number of microns of thickness, but it's really just.
That's one of the things that makes gold so valuable too.
Well, yeah, it's. And also it lasts and it looks so good. I mean, there's something about gold. I can't tell you what it is, but you know, I do a lot of boat lettering up at the lake, and I'll go up there and show somebody, you know, he's got a really nice old Chris Craft or something, you know, and show him the metallic vinyl and say, this is $150, and I'll pull out a piece of gold and I'll say, or this is, let me get a piece of the other kind here, and then I'll just put a piece of this in his hand and say, or this is $500. And most of the time you kind of think somebody go, well, 150, 500, well, give me the 150, but all you gotta do is show them that, and all of a sudden they're going, well, damn, I spent $50,000 on the boat. What's an extra 500 to get the real deal, you know? So, and one thing too, if you're selling gold, I've found that it really helps to hype it a little bit. If I'm trying to sell somebody this letter instead of that letter, even though it'll say the same thing and be the same size and it'll be gold and it'll look good, but I'll say we can do it painted, or we can do it, and I get my eyes real big and I'll say, or gold. Drag that word out a little bit. You can get more money for it. You got to. Now one thing, let's see, this was the first piece of size this morning, and the way you tell if the size is ready, and here's the main thing, and this is the hardest part of gold, is that after you put the size on, is you got to just sit there and wait. You can't rush gold. If you put it on too early, it'll sink into the size and it'll, what they call, drown it. It comes out through the top, and then you ruin all your radiance on there. So the ideal thing is to put it on the last possible second you can do it, and you get a much brighter gill that way. But you take a piece of wherever you've got, you know, something smooth like this, and don't use your finger because you've got oils in there and usually dirt or something. You take a knuckle and then just barely drag it. And when it squeaks, now you can't hear the squeak, but I can kind of feel it, you know, it's squeaky on there rather than my knuckle dragging, and you can tell if it's sticking or dragging, it's not ready. If it squeaks a little bit, it's ready to go.
Do you have a working window, or can you leave it, say, 12 or 14, 15 hours?
If you use the slow stuff. Now I'm using all fast this morning, so we can't wait. But now if you use this, you don't even start for 12 hours, and then you probably got a 12-hour open window or 6 hours, something like that, depending on humidity and everything. I've even seen on something really smooth like glass or something that's non-porous. I've even heard of people doing it 36 hours later, still laying the gold and it'll stick. Now this is called patent gold right here. This is stuck to a rouge paper, so you can, you know, you can handle it. You know, you got a little edge of paper here. You can handle the gold, whereas this is called loose gold or glass gold, and obviously it's very loose. It's not stuck onto the paper. The way you handle that is it's called a gilder's tip. And I recommend the patent because it's just so much easier. You don't lose gold, but if you know, this is how you have to use for glass. And you get a little static in your hair, and you come over here and you lift this. Well, yeah. Not Vicks Vapor Rub, but Vaseline. That's called the tip, and then you just grab that, and it'll come off of here, and then you want to get kind of close to this. I'm just sort of pushing that off, really. I need a little more static on there, but like I say, that's a great method for glass, but this is so much easier because you can just work with it. Once this is ready to go, you just press that on there, run your finger down a little bit, and pull it off, and you can see the...
Keep everything on the table, and I can
okay.
Okay.
And then, you know, it'll more or less break off in the piece that you press down, and then you can kind of come over here and do this side. And then you get that little tip right there.
Pile it on and blend
Just
it in.
pile it all on, and it'll stick wherever it's stuck. You know, more gold won't stick to that. You just come in there with another piece, and then you can use those little pieces right there to get some of these edges here. And you don't want to get too anal about saving. Well, I mean, they'll sit there and they'll try to use that little corner right there, find some spot on there to make sure they don't waste that thing. You'll waste more time and money from your time than you will on the gold, so it's a whole lot easier. And you know, it's just a whole lot easier to grab another sheet and keep on gilding. Now,
The patent gold is what
yeah, and you can buy different get 19, you can get 10. There's also there's white gold, which is also very pretty. And this is a little from. This is called silver leaf here, and on it. Aluminum or silver leaf here, and that works great outdoors because this won't tarnish because of the aluminum composites in there. This leaf, I mean, you can actually grab that and work. Here's the very
different carats of gold.
and there's also different, even in the same carat, you can have different kind. There's lemon gold, palladium gold. Even different brands have different colors and sheens. That's another thing. You don't really want to mix brands because it'll. This is a little piece of the variegated, and you can see it's a little bit. It's a little bit garish, you know, by itself. But once you get it on a piece, you know, you don't see it in one big lump or something. But it makes, you know, I mean, this is not something you use every day, but for certain applications, this is very impressive and pretty cool looking. Generally, you know, what you'll use more of this than anything else because this really it's very impressive on something. And now I'm covering this whole thing up here. But you could, you know, say if you just wanted to do just the little feathers off here, or just the base, or even just that little rim around there, you just size that and put the gold on that and do whatever you want with the rest of your piece.
Is it a job to get it off if you scrape it off with a knife or something?
Yeah, I'm going to go into a couple of things on that. You don't really want to scrape it off with a knife, but once everything's dry, you can take a little bit of denatured alcohol or mineral spirits and just, you know, I usually, if you got a little dab here or there, I usually use a Q-tip or something just dipped in there and just kind of rub it off.